And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. The White House released a 3-page memo on Friday summarizing the results of President Trump's semi-annual physical. And while he's experiencing some mild nausea and loss of appetite, the doctor is expected to make a full recovery. President Trump bragged yesterday that he aced a cognitive check during his recent physical. Okay, for the last time, those aren't given a letter grade. If you saw an A, it was probably hepatitis. That's right, President Trump bragged that he aced a cognitive check during his recent physical and said, quote, "In fact, this is my 4th such test, all perfect. If you're so good at them, why do they keep giving them to you? They don't give you 4 colonoscopies if you're pooping normal." That's right, President Trump bragged that he aced a recent cognitive test and said, quote, 120 correct answers out of 120 questions asked. I don't know how often I have to say it. It's bad when they keep making you take the test, when they keep making the quarterback retake his math exam in hopes of getting him eligible to play Saturday. That kid don't know math. In a new interview with Fox News, President Trump demanded that the Strait of Hormuz be opened, but added, quote, "We don't need the Strait," in case anyone was looking for a new slogan for Pride Month. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said last week that his department had designed a new $250 bill with President Trump's image, and not for nothing, but that's the best picture you could get? I would think for $250 he could get a decent haircut. President Trump criticized musicians over the weekend for dropping out of a concert series to celebrate the country's 250th birthday. And do you know how unpopular you have to be for Milli Vanilli to back out? I'm pretty sure I could get them for my birthday. They were famous for a year in the 90s, don't actually sing, and one of them's dead. Donald Trump Jr. recently married his fiancée, Bettina Anderson. Don can't wait for the honeymoon, and Bettina can't be forced to testify against him. That's about right. After getting married last month in the Bahamas in a small private ceremony, Donald Trump Jr. and Bettina Anderson are reportedly planning a larger celebration for later this year. Man, how many weddings are you going to make this guy avoid? And finally, in a recent post on X, U.S. Ambassador to Greece, Kimberly Guilfoyle, celebrated a new McDonald's location in Athens and called it a, quote, "the most technologically advanced McDonald's in all of Europe," which just means the ice cream machine works. During an interview yesterday with CNBC, President Trump said that he wasn't worried about a spike in oil prices amid reports that peace talks with Iran are over. In related news, the current price of gas is walk, bitch. That's right, President Trump dismissed the reported collapse of peace talks with Iran and said, quote, "I really don't care. I couldn't care less." And you know what? I believe him. This is the real job of being president. He doesn't care about that. But watch what happens if it rains on the day of the White House UFC fight. It's ruined. My big day is ruined. Gothamist last week published the renderings for the Penn Station remodel, which reportedly include a large plaque near the 8th Avenue entrance with President Donald J. Trump etched into marble next to a presidential seal. I guess because Penn Station also stinks and never worked? A video was posted of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy picking up 2 snakes and dangling them in the air. Come on, can't a guy go grocery shopping without being taped? The New York Knicks are going to the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. And I think I can speak for the whole city when I say it's so gratifying to finally see something go well for Timothée Chalamet. That's right, the New York Knicks are going to the NBA Finals for the first time in more than a quarter century. So the Knicks are good, LaGuardia's been renovated, and Spirit Airlines is gone. We are one Jets Super Bowl away from my entire monologue team walking into the ocean. Today was the 532nd anniversary of Friar John Core distilling the first Scottish whiskey. Also, the 532nd anniversary of the last time anyone could understand a damn word they said. They talk totally just like this. A little bit of scotch, all went downhill. Finally, Starbucks has unveiled its summer menu. You can go online and read it now, or do what most of their customers do and wait until you get to the front of the line. President Trump dismissed the reported collapse of peace talks with Iran in a post yesterday on Truth Social and said, quote, "The conversations between us have been going on continuously, including 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, 1 day ago, and today." So for the past 5 days, maybe the talks are taking so long because you describe every single thought using the most words possible. In a new podcast interview, President Trump confirmed that he called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu crazy during a phone call this week, but added they have, quote, "worked very well together." Oh, yeah, if you have any skills at all, working with crazy is right up there. That's right, President Trump confirmed that he called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, quote, "crazy," before adding, "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to finish building a UFC arena on the White House lawn." While testifying yesterday before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the war with Iran, quote, "is over," which explains why Trump was seen grabbing and kissing nurses in Times Square. Pennsylvania man was arrested last week after he allegedly tried to destroy his own home with an excavator after an argument with his wife. Man, what kind of psycho destroys his own home with an excavator? All right, sorry. Totally forgot. President Trump posted an image yesterday on Truth Social of himself next to a mirror with the caption, quote, "Trump 007. I don't know. I think he's more of a Bond villain. You know, I think he's Old Finger." Like, not even close, my favorite joke in the monologue. Has it done as well with you as I hoped? Absolutely not. Is it still my favorite joke in the monologue? It is. Top Russian officials have reportedly told President Vladimir Putin that the country can no longer afford to pay for the Ukraine war. Unfortunately, for those officials, pushing a guy off a balcony is still free. I never liked that one. My whole finger I loved. You bullied me into that one. The Trump administration said this week that it will reduce tariffs on agricultural equipment. At least I assume that's what he meant by bringing in cheap hose. I would say we are now massively off track. Disgraced former Congressman George Santos is reportedly being investigated for insider trading on the prediction market Kalshi after betting, yes, George Santos will be investigated for insider trading. According to new research, Neanderthals used stone drills to treat cavities. Even crazier, they figured out veneers. The first half of this monologue did feel like a monologue. And then it's been something else for a while. Oh, God, and I forgot what the last joke was. Mike Scollins wrote the last joke, and he's sitting right over there. So when this is over, I'm going to make eye contact with him. And finally, today was Insect Repellent Awareness Day. Hope you got off. Yeah, that was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. President Trump held an Oval Office event today on coal, as opposed to how he usually holds them on Ambien. During his testimony yesterday before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Secretary of State Marco Rubio pushed back on claims that President Trump has cognitive issues and added, quote, "This is a guy who literally doesn't sleep. Are you kidding me? Did you forget this? He was sleeping any deeper, they'd have to swear in J.D. Vance." That's right, Marco Rubio said that he has never seen President Trump fall asleep. Did you think this is him meditating? Okay, I'm ready to deal with Iran now that I've achieved mental clarity and emotional regulation. During an Oval Office event yesterday, President Trump said that his administration removed homeless encampments around Washington, D.C. in time for the country's 250th anniversary and added, quote, that he has, quote, regrassed many of the areas. Oh, yeah, he's definitely regrassed. Some would say he's regressed all the way to childhood. During the same event, President Trump said that his trade advisor, Peter Navarro, knows more about China than any human being on Earth, except for Chinese President Xi Jinping and maybe, I don't know, a billion other people. That's like saying you know the most about London because you did a semester there and now you say chips instead of fries. The Archbishop of Washington, D.C., Cardinal Robert McElroy, yesterday removed a priest as an exorcist because of his comments about UFO sightings. Because the last thing you want is an exorcist who believes in a bunch of crazy stuff. The auction house Sotheby's is set to offer one of the largest and most complete fossils of a T-Rex that could sell for up to $30 million. This, according to a panicked voicemail from Nick Cage's accountant. Dunkin' yesterday unveiled a new drink menu, which includes a collaboration with Mattel to offer Barbie-themed pink drinks. Why, was the coffee also made 3 years ago? And finally, today was the 130th anniversary of Henry Ford's test drive with the first automobile he ever designed. I think if he were still alive today, he'd say, "Oh my God, what have you done to her?" And that was a monologue